We're starting tonight with a traffic alert at this hour. Right now, crews are working to clear a semi-truck crash on the westbound I-90 ramp that leads to Route 195. According to WSP, crews are cleaning up over 100 gallons of fuel that were spilled in the crash. No one was injured, but officials expect the ramp to be blocked for several hours. We'll continue to bring you updates as we know more. Good evening, and thanks for joining us for KREM 2 News 10 at 10, where we give you more news in less time. I'm Janelle Finch. Mark is off tonight. Let's get started. The Coeur d'Alene School District will once again ask voters to approve a $25 million levy this May. The decision comes less than a week after 2 levies failed. School board members decided to pull the maintenance levy. If approved, median-priced homes could pay an additional $77 in property taxes a year. KREM 2's Kyle Simchuk was at today's special meeting.
This May, voters in Coeur d'Alene will be asked to pass a 2-year, $25 million supplemental levy. If it fails, the district says cuts will be deep.
And in the end, it's 311 employees.
I'm not on a renewable contract, and so I'm really probably up on that list, and so it is scary to think what's going to happen.
Julia Smolkowski is a 7th grade math teacher. She's also worried about her students. No levy means no school sports or extracurricular activities. 2 elementary schools would close.
Watching kids come into my classroom being like, what's going to happen to my sports? What's going to happen to bands? Like, so many of our kids love their extracurriculars, and that's why they're at school.
The children should not be involved in any of this. Teachers are involving them in the classroom and making the kids feel bad and go home and say, we're not going to have field trips anymore, we're not going to have this anymore.
Amy McCalmy opposes the levy and doesn't think it's fair the district gets a second chance to pass one.
They're using the children right now as pawns of, oh, you're not going to be able to play sports next year. They had the band out here playing earlier of, this is going to get cut. And it's like, really, are those things going to get cut? I'm sure there's other things that could get cut.
We are now cut down to the bone. There is no fat.
By eliminating the maintenance levy and limiting the supplemental levy to 2 years, board members hope this proposal will be more appealing.
There's been the impact of lack of trust. There's the impact of misinformation. There's the lack of some of us just coming together and moving forward together to support each other.
The May 16th election just 8 weeks away. In Coeur d'Alene, Kyle Simchuk, KREM 2 News.
Happening tomorrow, Coeur d'Alene City Council is holding another public hearing on the new Courtier housing development. Last month, City Council deferred their annexation vote once again after giving developers of Courtier 2 weeks to address the public's concerns. The developers changed their plans and included a limit on how many homes can be built per acre. That hearing is expected to start around 5 p.m. tomorrow night. New tonight, a dramatic scene unfolded in Spokane County over the weekend. Multiple rescue units responded to reports of a lost hiker on Micah Peak Friday afternoon. After a nearly 10-hour search, rescue units located the hiker, who was eventually airlifted off the mountain. Extremely cold and weak, the hiker was transported to a hospital for additional treatment. He is expected to make a full recovery. Turning now to some of today's top stories, a small hospital in North Idaho is gaining national attention after it announced late last week it's stopping labor and delivery services. Bonner General Health says the reason is a decrease in doctors, patients, and the legal and political climate in Idaho. Now all maternity patients will need to transfer care to Kootenai County Health, as labor and delivery at Bonner will end by mid-May. One expecting mother says that's a 45-minute drive for her, and she fears she'll end up giving birth on the side of the highway again.
My last 2 babies that I've had have been quick. So hopefully I make it. My 15-year-old son, I lived about 45 minutes from the hospital, and it was fortunately the dead of winter, and he was born on the side of the highway because we couldn't make it.
KREM 2 reached out to Bonner General to get more answers on the sudden decision. A spokesperson tells us they're overwhelmed with the national attention and this story, and they'll work to answer our questions. Now to Nightbeat with a quick look at the day's top stories. Sticking in Idaho, the state legislature passed a bill today that would allow Idaho to execute sentenced inmates by firing squad. It is now headed to the governor's desk. The firing squads will be only used if the state cannot obtain the drugs needed for lethal injections. Idaho previously had a firing squad option on the books, but never used it. According to the Death Penalty Information Center, only Mississippi, Utah, Oklahoma, and South Carolina currently have laws allowing firing squads if other execution methods are not available. Meanwhile, a new bill in Idaho would remove the option for liquor license owners to sell their license. In Idaho, there are only a set amount of licenses awarded to businesses. This means if license holders choose to sell their license, they can rack up a massive profit. Bar owners say the bill devalues their licenses. The law is waiting for debate and vote in the Idaho House. And there's two new candidates running for Spokane City Council seats. Paul Dillon and Randy McGlenn announced their intentions for City Council Districts 2 and 3. Dillon is stepping away from his role as the VP of Public Affairs for Planned Parenthood of Greater Washington and North Idaho to avoid potential conflicts of interest. Meanwhile, McGlenn previously served as the East Central Neighborhood Chair and is now on the Committee Assembly for the West Central Neighborhood. For more on their platforms, head to our website at KREM.com. That was your Night Beat. To learn more about any of these stories, just text the word NIGHT to 509-448-2000 and we'll send them right to your phone. Switching gears from the headlines, let's talk weather. Meteorologist Michelle Boss is in the Weather Center with what we can expect for the first week of spring as it officially started today.
We are going to have some ups and downs. We've got some warmer weather, but we also have some colder weather. We're not completely done with the cold yet. We were expecting some wet weather today, and it did not happen in the Spokane and Coeur d'Alene area. We're going to take a look at where they did see the rain on satellite and radar. It got as close as about 30 miles away to our southwest, and it just didn't make it any farther north. So we can see some areas of wet weather now sinking southward just south of I-90 right now, mainly focused on south central and southeastern Washington. But over the last 24 hours, we've seen relatively light rainfall amounts from Harrington, 0.04 of an inch there, about 0.06 in Moses Lake, and increasing amounts as you move south, about 1/10 of an inch in Washtenaw, 1200 in Othello, and about 0.15 of an inch in the Pullman and Moscow area. Temperature-wise, it was much cooler in the areas that saw rain. We got into the 50s today, but as we start to dry out tomorrow, we will see those temperatures go back up. We should keep the clouds through tomorrow morning, but then clear out for the afternoon. So partly cloudy and 52 on Tuesday with full sunshine on Wednesday. We should see temperatures back up in the mid-50s.
Thanks so much, Michelle. Police in Lower Manhattan are setting up barriers in anticipation of protests after former President Donald Trump posted on social media that he's going to be arrested. The Manhattan District Attorney is investigating allegations that Trump falsified business records linked to a hush money payment to former porn star Stormy Daniels. Trump has long denied the accusations, while Daniels told 60 Minutes in 2018 that she was paid by Trump's fixer, Michael Cohen, to keep quiet about the alleged affair. The 2024 presidential candidate is urging his supporters to protest and take our nation back.
They're a different group that could come in armed. They could come in with explosives.
On Monday, the Manhattan grand jury heard from the potential final witness in the case, Trump ally Robert Costello. He says Cohen has no credibility and acted without Trump's knowledge. Trump also faces criminal probes in Georgia and Washington related to his attempts to overturn the 2020 presidential election. In international news tonight, China's President Xi Jinping is in Moscow for a high-profile meeting with Russia's Vladimir Putin. The visit is a public show of support for Putin, just days after the International Criminal Court issued an arrest warrant against him for war-related crimes or war crimes related to the war in Ukraine. President Jinping and President Putin called each other dear friends as they began a series of face-to-face meetings. U.S. officials say any agreement must also call for the removal of Russian forces from Ukrainian territory.
The world should not be fooled by any tactical move by Russia, aided by China or any other country, to freeze the war on its terms without any viable pathway to restore Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity.
The Kremlin does not recognize the ICC's jurisdiction, and Russia's investigative committee said it is opening a criminal case against a prosecutor and 3 judges of the ICC over the arrest warrants.
The climate time bomb is ticking.
A new report backed by the United Nations finds the world is rapidly approaching catastrophic levels of heating. It says the impact of planet heating pollution is already more severe than expected, and we're hurtling towards dangerous and irreversible consequences. The report says the biggest threat to climate change action is the world's continued addiction to burning fossil fuels. In releasing the report, the Secretary General of the United Nations said time is running out and called it a ticking time bomb for the climate.